right, so today we had the wonderful opportunity to learn from so many brilliant people, experts in their field, and we had that lovely lunch. Pasta, the gift that keeps on giving. I feel like I want to take a nap. So with that said, everybody get up. Here's your exercise. Go over to somebody you have not yet met. Introduce yourself to him or her. Put out your paw. I was in an earlier session where a woman had brought her beautiful dog. It was one of those mixed breed dogs, it was rather large, who was still convinced it was a puppy. It was jumping all around. And she did this thing with her hands where she went like that, and the dog sat down very quietly. And then it was time the session was over. She went like that. The dog got up and moved out, and I thought to myself, wow, if I could only do that with the men in my life. Brilliant. So we have a lot to cover today. But I want to kind of share with you that little exercise and why I made you do it. One, obviously, we've had a lot of sugar today, and we're all about ready to take a nap after that beautiful lunch. But digital marketing is no different, okay? And social media marketing is no different than what you just did, right? You're shaking hands with somebody. Only with social media, you're doing it virtually, right? Everything that you put out on the net, whether it be your LinkedIn profile, the blog, there are bloggers in this room, right? Your Pinterest, which we're going to go over today, your Facebook presence, you are asking somebody to shake your hand digitally, have a conversation with you, okay? Today's focus is on Pinterest, but just so that you know, that's what I do for a living. I'm a subject matter expert on social media and social media marketing. But digital marketing is really the art of starting a conversation. Everyone in here, I'm going to assume, is a blogger, yes, by show of hands? Okay. Keep your hand up if you're on Pinterest. Yay. Oh, I love this. Put your hand down. I think I'm going to cry. So what we're going to go over today is a little bit of the backstory on Pinterest. We'll talk about some statistics and info, some demographics on Pinterest, because you need to know who your audience is, right? And then also, I've got some real-life case studies from people in your industry, the pet care industry, other pet stores, people who sell pet food and products. And we'll go over some best practices, and we'll talk a little bit about the legal issues in Pinterest, right? We'll talk about PinChat and some top tools that I recommend for Pinterest utilization. Some companies actually have recently been bought since I started this deck. And then I will ask you, if you have questions, little housekeeping note. See that mic there in the middle of the room? Everybody nod, yeah? What you are going to do during the question and answer session, you're going to walk up there. I don't care how shy you are. I was shy once, a very, very long time ago. You're going to jump in front of that mic, give me your name, tell me about your pet site or your blog, and then ask your question. Are we all cool with that? Before I begin, I want to start with a quote and a quick note of gratitude. And this quote is actually from Anatole France. I tweeted this out this morning, so if you're following at Social Espionage, by the way, there is my, can I do this thing? Oh, look, I can use the pointer. It works, Jamie. Isn't that brilliant? At Social Espionage. Feel free to tweet at whim. Anatole France once said, until one has loved an animal, a part of one's soul remains unawakened. If that isn't the truth. I do want to thank very quickly the people who put this on. I was asked to participate. Thank you, Toby Bloomberg, for making the introduction to Yvonne DeVita and Carol, and all of the team, from the audiovisual team to the people last night who were kind enough to bring out their products and their wares. Quite honestly, this is my first ever pet conference, and I haven't met a nicer group of lovely animal lovers in my entire life. Now I want to go get a dog. So I would like very quickly to do a quick round of applause to Yvonne DeVita and the team. They certainly deserve it. Let's go ahead and go over the backstory of Pinterest and how it got its start. This is Ben Silberman. Ben Silberman, big nerd, collector of things. When he was a little kid, he used to collect bugs. You know, little dried bugs, and you put them on a pin, and you set them on a board somewhere. He also collected baseball cards. And the story of how Pinterest got its start is a really beautiful and very romantic one. When you think about Pinterest, you don't really think about romance unless you look at all those wedding boards. How many of you have taken a look at some of the wedding boards? Yeah, I hate those bitches. Anyway, so Ben was working as a consultant right here outside of Washington, D.C. And he fell quite madly in love with a young woman and wanted to ask her to marry him, but she was kind of a progressive gal. So he went out to her friends and her brother, her cousins, her best friend, even her mum, and wanted to get an idea of the type of ring that she actually would say yes to, right? So what he did was he created this mini little site with a bunch of different ring choices on it, the size of the diamond, the shape, the way that the band itself would look. And he created it and then put a link to it and then sent an email blast out to everybody asking them to vote on it. It was very simplistic, you know. You just vote yes or no, whether or not you liked it. Think Facebook back in like 2009 with just a like, you know. So he culminates all the data and ultimately goes and buys the ring. Gets down on bended knee, asks the girl to marry him. Thankfully she said yes, but she was so astounded at how this was the exact ring that she wanted. It was the right size for her hand, it was the band that she liked, it was the right cut and clarity, even the right color. And, you know, he said, well, you know, I didn't do this on my own. I crowdsourced this. I asked your mom, I asked your dad, I asked your brother, you know, they know you better than I do. And I created this little website. So he showed her the website and she said, oh, you just pinned up all the pictures. Isn't that Pinteresting? See, men, listen to your women. We know what we're talking about. So that's the backstory on Pinterest. And there's Ben. He is still the co-founder of the organization. His founder actually left to become the entrepreneur in residence at a VC company, but he's still running the show. So let's talk a little bit about some statistics and info. And I'll try to go through these, breeze through these very quickly because I do want to show you the case studies. Launched in March 2010 as a closed beta, 15% of online adults say they use Pinterest. It's a bookmarking site, visual search mechanism, social network, and platform for collaboration all in one. 25 million daily users, 400% month-over-month growth as of June of last year. And as of April of last year, Pinterest was the third most popular social networking site after Facebook and Twitter, and that's per VentureBeat. 1.9 billion page views worldwide. 1.5 billion of those happen right here in the United States. So can you imagine what that means for your personal brand and your brand as a blogger? It's the fifth largest referral site of traffic for one particular e-commerce site. What we're seeing is that Pinterest is actually driving people to purchase, right? Years ago, we used to look at ratings and reviews before we purchase something. Now people are actually going to Pinterest and seeing where that product or service or solution is actually being highlighted. Content is organized in username boards that follow a theme and work like categories. Each piece of content is a pin. Pins can be liked, repinned, and commented on, as well as shared on Facebook and Twitter, with recent integration with Flickr for copyrighted images. There are some legal issues there, and we'll go over those later. In April of last year, just a year ago, board covers were launched. So now you could actually theme your specific board based on, you know, your brand or your initiative, and so on and so forth. Boards and profiles can be followed, but it functions a little differently from a typical Twitter or you know, Facebook following or subscription. The way that Pinterest works is somebody can actually follow one of your images, right? They can follow a whole board, or they can follow you in general. And it wasn't until I put my S&M board up that I realized I have a ton of followers. Most of them are in Thailand. It's very strange. So brands can be placed in cost of products within pins. Pinterest is used by 26% of B2B marketers. And funnily enough, that's from B2B Magazine. The site referrals spend 70% more money than visitors referred from any other non-social channel. So what that's saying to me is that if people are actually going there, right, and they're purchasing products much more quickly than they are on Facebook or Twitter or what have you. 98 minutes per month on average is the average time spent per user. 98 minutes. Who's that person? I spend much more time than that. Out of 17 million brand engagements, 15% occurred on the brand's boards and 85% occurred elsewhere on the site. 23 of the respondents of a report that recently was done by BizRate, people actually searched for specific retailer or brands, and 36% of them browsed for a pin that was created by a brand. What we're seeing is right now Pinterest has practically caught up with Twitter, in that the type of content that's being placed there, right, is being shared. You know, think about retweets and the algorithmic equations that push certain Twitter handles a little bit further up, you know, when you're searching on content on the web. And the thing that also makes this very interesting is, and I'm going to go over a couple more stats if I can. I'm going through this very quickly, sorry. Pinterest is very interesting, specifically for females, because they found that 19% of the women on the internet are physically present on Pinterest. And the number one population for Pinterest users in the UK is not women, it's men. Well, they're so stylish, darling, you can't really blame them. So moving right along. So I won't go into grave detail on the rest of this stuff because I think I've gone over most of this. There were 29% of UK users come under the highest income bracket. 50% of the users have kids. 68% are women and 31% are men. Pinners are between 25 and 54 years old, and 63% of those users are 35 or older. 12% of online adults say they use Pinterest, and we talked about nearly 1/5 of the women are on Pinterest. Pinning is winning. Let's look a little bit about I want to quickly go back to the demographics. This is very interesting. Annual household income of a Pinterest user is $100,000 or more. Usually pet owners, guys. 50% of users have kids. 63% of women. We talked about 31% of men. On June 8th, Pinterest did something very significant. They hired away one of the top legal talents of Google. Because I think they're really, at this point, starting to learn what their legality is, and they're starting their own legal department. Top pinned categories are food and drink, do-it-yourself crafts, home decor, women's fashion. Quotes account actually for about 10% of their traffic. Pinners spend their time 84% pinning, 15% liking, and 0.6% commenting. So what we're seeing is a lot of people that are repinning, right? So you place up a board, you put something really smashing there. Maybe it's your own original content that has a logo or a cute little saying. And what we're seeing is that people are actually repinning more than they're doing anything else. So let's very quickly jump into some case studies. Now, Jamie's going to help me. We're going to do our best to try to get through some of these so that we can really allow for a lot more time in questions and answers. And I've gone ahead and put some of them together. Jamie, you want to click on these, and then we can go crazy. Ready? Okay, brilliant. Whoop. What happened? Oh, no. I can just, do the old soft shoe for a little bit. What do you think? No, entertain the crowd. I'd sing for you, but then you'd all boo and hiss, and I would have comment card. Really sucked at singing. Okay. Don't hire her again to sing. Liked the dirty jokes, though. Those were brilliant. Okay. No. So what I did was actually went out to Pinterest and found some really great case studies of people who blog like you who have created their own Pinterest boards, some of which were brands. So the first one that we see here is the Corgis. Is this the Daily Corgi? No, it's not. It's Petco. Jamie, can we go to the Daily Corgi, please? And this is my assistant, Jamie. There we are. It doesn't like that one. It doesn't like... Maybe cut and paste it into a tab, darling. That might work. By the way, these Corgis are really cute. Talking about... She's like, I have a Corgi. Yeah. No, but you know this board. Yeah, it's really great. When we can get to it, which would be really nice. Don't download this. So we're having a bit of technical difficulty. Any dirty jokes? Yeah? You want one? No? Okay. No, brilliant. Then they'll never invite me back. Where's the Daily Corgi? First tab, darling. See it? Boop. There we go. Bravo for Jamie, because this is not easy to do. And this room's rather warm. I'm schwitzing like a pudding in a picnic up here. So let's talk about the Daily Corgi. This is absolutely adorable. I won't have him click into it, but I'll tell you one of the things that they do really well. When I was doing the initial research on this, they had about 27,144 followers and only 1,700 pins, which is pretty good numbers. They're following about 17 other people. But this started as a blog, and then it became a fan favorite. So what this person was doing on Daily Corgi is obviously started as a blog, and then when Pinterest came about, when they would have blog stories, rather than just put the picture inside the blog, they were linking out to the Pinterest board that talked about that specific story or paragraph. They have contests and giveaways, which are pretty amazing. And the other thing that I quite like about this, and I'm not going to have Jamie do this, but if you drill into the Daily Corgi, there's one thing that I quite like. They're using infographics, or whoever is curating the Daily Corgi, that have to do with corgis, like corgi health, the right type of food, the right type of, you name it, environment for a corgi, so on and so forth. And they had one of the longest infographics. One of the best practices that we'll discuss a little bit later on is that having longer infographics with good detailed information, with a nice little bibliography at the end, is a great way to draw in your consumer. Or somebody who's consuming your content. The other unique thing about that is that was one of the most repinned items throughout this board. So definitely, keep the Daily Corgi, write that one down, and you guys are going to get this deck when I'm done. So Petco. Everybody knows Petco. Anybody here work for Petco? Okay, good. I could say naughty things. No, I'm joking. Petco. Petco has 5,655 followers, 515 pins, and they're following about 485. They did a 12-day of Pinterest during the holiday season, and it was themed photos. They had some great ones that contest with pet parents and a chance to actually win money that you can spend at their stores. What I'll say is they also, and this is kind of unique, typically when you see a lot of pet presences on Pinterest, and be mindful that I did this deck some time ago, so if you see that the numbers of followers has grown, good for them. Most of the Pinterests that you see specifically with pet company and pet brands are mostly pets. But the thing that was very unique about this 12 days of sort of Christmas thing is they had pet and pet owners. So they're really highlighting their customers as much as they were their beautiful four-legged children, right? One of the things that I liked about this, and you can kind of see there's the board for the 12 days of Pinterest. One of the things that they did is that after the winners came about, they showed the pictures of the winners, you know, with their big checks and their gift cards and what have you. What I'll say to this is that contests with Pinterest, because you have a lot of interest there, right, tend to be more highly viral or shareable. So that's another best practice I wanted you to keep in the back of your mind. If you're a blogger and you're blogging about pets, maybe there might be, you know, a coupon or, you know, a pet product or maybe something that's your ebook or what have you that you can give away. But it's a great way to, you know, connect with your followers is, again, a best practice would be contests. And let's move forward if we can to CA Real Carolot pens. Carolot pet to pets. There we go. Carolot. Carolot pets. Now, Carolot is a pet supply company, and they're based not too far from here in Virginia Beach. They use price tags a little bit more than the larger stores. So we're seeing like Petco and PetSmart don't necessarily always put the price tags inside their items because they change, right? They fluctuate a lot. The thing that I like about Carolot, and if we can just scroll down to maybe one pin or two that shows a price tag in it, Jamie, sorry. Normally I have control, but I had to relinquish control today, which is not very easy for somebody like me. Just saying. So Jamie's actually running that. But what I'll say to you is another best practice that's really great is that if you actually share the cost, and this is something that Pinterest allows you to do, of a product, and you're selling something, or maybe you're just, you know, touting something on your blog that has really worked for you as a pet owner or a pet blogger, it's great to have the price tag there because, believe it or not, you show a price tag, people are more apt, almost by 40%, to click on it and find out where they can purchase it, right? Can we go to the next example of a case study, please, which is the super mall of gifts all in one place. This was very interesting because this was a super mall that focused on all different types of gifts and pet types. They have about 2,500 followers. The thing that I liked about this is that they use price tags randomly. So they're not on every single one of their items, but there was a great number of pet items that had price tags on it, and I noticed that those were the items that were more highly repinned than the ones that weren't. So just to kind of focus on that. What I'd like to do now, if I can, Jamie, because God only knows that this is stressful for you as well, I'm going to go ahead and move forward, and let's talk a little bit about some best practices. In your content plan, and a lot of people when they approach social media marketing, they do something that's very bad. And this is the bad thing that they do. I call it brandscaping, right? They feel that, well, I'm going to get involved in social media without really realizing where their audiences are. And they plug a lot of holes. They're on LinkedIn, they're on Twitter, they're on Facebook, they're on Pinterest. They plug a lot of holes. And then what winds up happening is they tend to put the same data or information, they kind of brandscape, you know, like landscaping, they put the same thing on each and every channel. This is a no-no, okay? You don't want to brandscape. Somebody's tweeting this out right now. No brandscaping. Dorothea says. I want to pull my whip out. So what you want to do is focus on those channels where you actually know your customer is, you know? Take some time and get to know them. SurveyMonkey, great opportunity to send surveys. Get to know where they're spending their time and focus on the channels that you know that they're going to respond to. So as it pertains to Pinterest, make sure that it's part of your content plan if you know that's where your customers are actually spending their time. And then also make sure that the graphics that you use in Pinterest align with your whole brand. So for instance, if your blog is red and white, yeah, then the things that the more original content that you post on Pinterest should be red and white, right? Or have the lettering or your logo or brand in it, right? And not necessarily be in blue or pink. Nothing to really confuse your customer, right? Have a plan in place to update your boards regularly and make sure that you repin relevant followers. You know, one of the reasons why I think brands don't do very well in social networking sites and social media marketing is they don't realize that every time they dip their toe in something like a YouTube video campaign or Instagram, is that they're actually building a community. They want to start a conversation, yeah? So if you post things up and you see other people repinning, thank them for the repin. And also follow them, right? Because chances are if they're sharing your, you know, information, they like what you have to say. So it's very important that you repin relevant images, but that you also thank your pinners. And if it's relevant to you and your brand, I would certainly recommend that you follow their followers. Very similar to, you know, to Twitter. Next thing is very important. Make your web presence pinnable. One of the things I've noticed is that people put the pinnable, opportunity all throughout their site when there's no image. Huh? I want to smack that person really hard. Anyway, so what I'll say is that really make sure that you only those things that are relevant, those pinnable images, make sure that in your web presence it shows. And then on your blog as well, mention to people that you're on Pinterest. Embedded in your blog, let people know that that's another way that they can connect with you. And something that we saw in the case studies, which is contests and promotions, right? And I know as a blogger you're thinking, well, gosh, how can I run a contest? You might do something really cute that has to pertain with, if you blog about a specific dog or cat style or a pet, right? Well, I saw a ferret. Somebody had a ferret here recently. And I had ferrets when I was a kid. When I was a teenager, I had two, Sid and Nancy. I was a bit of a punk rocker. And she had this cute little ferret, and his ferret's name was Snotnose. But he was cute. I just feel badly for the poor name. But think about this. If you can ask other people who have the same type of pets, right, to send in pictures, then you can start a contest or promotion for the cutest snot-nosed ferret, or whatever. But the thing that I like about that is that you're asking people to be part of the conversation. Another thing that's really great, too, and I'm going to move on in this, as you're updating your boards fairly regularly, if you find somebody that's a pet blogger, maybe they blog about the same type of pet, or maybe there's somebody who you really admire and you've been following them for a while, why not create a collaborative board? One that they can also share. And what that does is not only help increase your network, but if they have a fairly large footprint or they don't, the two of you can work together to grow both of your networks on Pinterest. So having collaborative boards is also a really great way to not only get your message and your brand out there and the things that you stand for, but also share that effort with somebody that you have a lot of respect for. And then also, this is huge, utilize infographics. And believe it or not, the longer the infographic, the better. What we've noticed is that the longer the infographic, the more engaged the person is because they're scrolling down to look at the information. And a lot of people say to me, well, gosh, I'm a blogger. I'm not a graphic artist. I don't know anything about infographics. Believe it or not, there are 4 or 5 inexpensive, free, don't you like that word? It's my favorite 4-letter word that begins with an F. Well, almost. What I'll say to you is that things like Visually, Infograph, and others, sign up. Visually is no longer in beta, so all you've got to do is sign up on their website. If you're not a graphic designer, which I obviously am not, you go in and put the colors of your brand, right, or your blog site or what have you, and then you put in the data, okay, of what you're trying to talk about. Maybe, like the Corgi, right, Daily Corgi. They might talk about the Corgi population around the world and how Corgis, the history of Corgis or what have you. Believe it or not, people who are really interested in your content will drill down and look and read that entire infograph. And sometimes you can tell things in an infograph that maybe are part of a blog post. I read a blog post recently about the history of something, and I thought it was very unique that they created an infograph that kind of married to it. It's a little off topic here because it has to do with B2B marketing, but the thing that I found so fascinating was, here's this blog post, it provides a lot of data, a lot of statistics, and then they had this really cool infographic that actually married itself to it. And I think it was from SAP, actually. Visually, and it's spelled V-I-S-U-A-L, and I think it's U-A-L, and then it's .ly. It's got a funny, acronym at the end, not a .com. And then there's another one called Infograph, and there's a few others that I have in my Rolodex. Just find me after. I'll be happy to share it. Also, make sure that your images, when you do have your images, that they have a call to action, right? Now, not every single one of them. We have a rule in social media marketing. It's called the Rule of 15, right? So 10 of the things that you put out there should be educating, right, and engaging your customer. Another 4 of them should be entertaining them, and then 1 should be the ask, the big sales pitch, right? So if you've got something you're trying to sell, like your ebook, or maybe a pamphlet of literature on how to best take care of this specific type of pet, because you're knowledgeable on it, don't hesitate to, in the graphic image, in the picture itself, say, want to learn more? Contact Susie Q, who knows about ferrets, right? Or the ferret world, or it's a ferret world after all, whatever the case may be, right? But it's very unique if you add something that's branded in there that's a call to action. And again, remember that Pinterest is really a community. You get what you put into it. So it's really important that if somebody repins or comments or has a comment or something that they say that they've repinned you, be very mindful that this is a potential follower, maybe a potential customer or subscriber to your newsletter. So communicate back with them. And then the other thing that I really like, how many of you use Instagram? Just by a show of hands. Wow, everybody. Does that mean I'm going to get a lot of Instagram pictures with my hashtag? Yeah? Okay, brilliant. Go crazy. That's why I wore the red dress. Brand your Instagram images, have a hashtag that's specific to your blog. Okay, and then ask other people too. So this is my idea for the person who runs Daily Corgi. How cool would it be if they ran a contest and everybody who's got a Corgi or even sees a Corgi on the street hashtags Daily Corgi with the date on it. And they could actually have a contest, right, that is indicative of sharing Instagram images. Because when you Google Daily Corgi, a lot of things come up, right? The blog, of course, because that's the foundation of their marketing. But you also see their Pinterest board, you see them on Instagram. How cool would it be to actually engage your community and ask them to do the same? And then another thing about Pinterest that people don't realize, and I'm starting to slowly but surely see brands do this, using video. You can upload video into Pinterest. Think about what that means if you've got the Vine application. 6 seconds of really cute video of your pet or something that you're doing with your pet, something that you might be doing with your community. You think this is water. Anyway, so definitely use video. And I saw somebody who recently actually curated a specific board all around a hobby that he had. And he had all the videos, not of himself, but of others actually doing this hobby, which I thought was pretty interesting. And it's a great way to kind of educate your audience on a specific, something that you're trying to share with them, whether it be for your pet, pet care, or your blog itself. So I want to talk a little bit about the legality of Pinterest, because there's been a lot said, about when you, there she is. This is Kirsten Kowalski. Kirsten is a photographer and a lawyer, but a real estate lawyer. She recently is branching out into entertainment law. But I actually met her, over the web. I'd read a story, a blog post that she wrote. As a photographer, she does a lot of professional portrait photography. She spends her time, by the way, between Boston and Alpharetta, Georgia, just north of Atlanta. And she was using the photography of people who she admired, right? Other photographers who were landscape photographers, portrait photographers, and she was creating these beautiful inspiration boards on Pinterest, only to find that she was pinning copyrighted images that other people could repin and download. Finally, one of her, dearest photography friends said, "Hey, can you take my work down? I found it being used someplace, no one's paid me for it, and I would appreciate that." When you sign up for Pinterest, there's this little thing, terms and conditions. I strongly recommend that you read that. If you do not have or give credit for where you, originally collected the image, whether it be off of a website or an online catalog, you actually are putting yourself out there for legal action. So she took down her Pinterest boards very tearfully, all of them, and then wrote a blog post about it. Funnily enough, Ben Silberman read it. He called her up. At first she thought, this is somebody's pulling my leg, somebody's yanking my chain. She hung up on him, which good for her that she did that. And he rang back and he said, "Hey, Kirsten, this is Ben Silberman. I own Pinterest. I want to talk to you about, this blog post," because funnily enough, when you Google her name, that blog post is the first thing that comes up. It's had a ton of comments. People are also very concerned, obviously, because some of them are small business owners and they don't want to fight, Getty or somebody like that for copyright. And she shared with him, "Hey, look, this is the reason why I did this. I'm an agent of the creative community. I work very hard for, what it is that I do for a living. I'm raising young children, and, this is a source of income. I don't want people stealing my images," right? So he explained to her, and this is very early on in the Pinterest phase, that, Pinterest stages, that as they'd gotten out of beta, they realized this too. And that's why they put very specific legal language in the terms and conditions to let people know that when you sign up for Pinterest and when you do pin, you must do this responsibly, and you are making yourself liable for copyrighted images. Not too shortly thereafter, they aligned themselves with Flickr, a big place for copyrighted images. There's a lot of artists on there, a lot of people who are small businesses and what have you in photography. And you'll note that they have a very specific, again, if you go through and you say, okay, I'm going to link my Flickr, because a lot of us use Flickr before Pinterest. If you're linking the two accounts, you have to, again, sign another terms and conditions stating that you're not going to be reusing somebody else's images for your own profit. So again, before you jump into Pinterest, which I know a lot of us have at both feet, really read those terms and conditions, because the last thing, if you're a small business, I would want for you is for you to get sued because you're basically pushing somebody else's copyrighted images, yeah? How you avoid that? There's a little comment section inside Pinterest, which I'm sure you all have seen, right? Where you can click and, as you're posting it, Write where you've gotten it. If it was a website like Creative Commons, if it was from Flickr, or it was from benrosephotography.com, show where it's been sourced, and that's how you absolve yourself. Whew. Okay, so that is the lovely Kirsten Kowalski and her story. Now, a lot of people that are on Pinterest are not really aware of Pin Chat. I'm going to tell you what that is. It's a dynamic community of pin chatters, that's what they call themselves. They're the original Twitter chat about Pinterest and have been honored by mentions in Mashable, PC Magazine, Media Bistro, and others. The interesting thing about this is I actually know the woman. I put her on a panel. Her name is Kelly Lieberman, and she does a great job. She's had brands like McDonald's and Microsoft and others participate and share best practices with average Joes like you and me. It's a weekly Twitter chat. It's at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so that's 6 p.m. if you're on the West Coast. And you just follow the hashtag PinChat. Okay? This is one of their boards, just to give you an idea. And the thing that's very interesting about PinChat is that the best practices are not just shared by people like you and me, but you have these big brands like Microsoft and General Mills and, oh God, what's another one? Mashable was on there recently. And it's a great way to learn from others cool ideas on contests, promotions. And here's the other thing. Remember my favorite four-letter word that begins with an F? It's free. It's only going to cost you time. So it's Wednesdays at 9 p.m., 6 p.m. East Coast, West Coast time. And again, it's hashtag PIN, P-I-N, chat, C-H-A-T. And they have some really great Pinterest boards, and I encourage you to check them out, because what she tends to do is find the best of the best and let everybody know about them. And you'll see them on her Pin Chat board. And then moving right along, here's some top tools I have for Pinterest. Jamie, I'm not going to make you do this because God only knows you're back there right now sweating bullets as it is. I want to talk about what each one of these does, okay? And you can write these down or you can get the deck after. Either way, it's completely fine by me. There used to be a technology called Pinnerly, and I actually use Pinnerly. I quite like it. I don't know if they've completely decided to change the name or they were acquired by somebody, but they're now called Reachly. And the thing that's really interesting about this is that you can actually pin multiple images at the same time, right? So it allows you to work a little bit more effectively. Maybe you've curated a lot of them and you want to add them to specific boards. But there's also a bit of measurement involved, so you can see how many pins or repins you've had on certain images, yeah? The next one, Picora, also formerly known as Pin Influencer, does something very similarly. And Pinography. And all of these, by the way, for the most part, are just very Pinterest focused. Now I want to talk about the last one. Curulate. God, I hope I'm saying that right. It sounds like a really bad something that you do when you have gas. I'm sorry, I've got to take Curulate. Like milk of magnesia or something. So Curulate is very interesting. It has a very social visual communication type functionality. So the way that it works is it works on both Instagram as well as Pinterest. So if you're somebody whose brand has an Instagram persona as well as Pinterest, you can actually use Curulate. And most of these are relatively low-cost options, just so that you know. I went out and specifically found those because, like yourselves, I'm also a solopreneur, a small business. Curulate is interesting because it also provides you with that deeper dive into reports and reporting as to how many repins you've had, how many new followers you've had on Instagram, how many times your brand has been liked or mentioned or what have you. And it's a great way to get all of your information at once. It does give you the opportunity to upload a certain number of images, but it's a little bit more limited to Reachly. Reachly, I've been able to, post up to 200 or 300 images all at once for brands that I work with. But Curulate, the number's a little bit more limited. But the thing that I like about it is it's not just for Pinterest, it's also for Instagram. So if you're using both, right, it's a good opportunity to maybe test them both. And what I say to people is, don't completely marry yourself to one of them, because it could be like a really bad breakup after a while with a boyfriend or girlfriend or significant other, in that if you get too involved with one and then it doesn't give you the functionality that you need over time. So what I say is test them all. Find out which works best for you. I'm not providing, I'm not saying use this one or that one, I'm just saying that try a couple of them. Maybe do a month, 30, some of them have free betas. Do a free beta for 2 weeks or a month. See what works for you, right? It may not work in your flow, but I would say adopt at least one of them and give it a try. And at that point, when you know what you really like it, then you might want to, dive in with both feet and then sign, an annual agreement or what have you. Okay? And then I did want to, at the beginning of this talk, I'm in Washington, D.C. And the last time I was in Washington, D.C., unfortunately, was to say goodbye to a dear friend who was leaving for MD Anderson, who's no longer with us. But he was a big writer on politics and religion, and he also was a big animal lover, His name was Christopher Hitchens, and we lost him in 2009, unfortunately, to cancer. But I wanted to share with you something that he shared with me. It's really quite brilliant. He used to live here in D.C. Owners of dogs will have noticed that if you provide them with food and water and shelter and affection, they will think you are God, whereas owners of cats are compelled to realize that if you provide them with food and water and shelter and affection, they draw the conclusion that they are gods. Thank you all. You've been awesome. Any questions? If you have, please approach the mic because we are recording this.
Hi, my name's Andrew Velpe. I'm from Pets Plus Us in Canada. I'm just getting...
And what's the name of your blog, Andrew?
Actually, we're just an insurance company. So,
you're an insurance company?
Yeah, in Toronto.
Oh, my word.
So my question for you is just a general overall feeling. Do you think Vine's going to take off? I know it's still relatively new. But
oh, yes,
yeah?
Yes, definitely. What we're seeing right now is a lot of contests with Vine, both as it pertains to B2C and B2B companies. Two companies that I can tell you have done really well with it, and I just taught, it's great that you asked me this because I just taught a huge course on Vine to the Boy Scouts of America. One of the things that we're finding, oh my, and there they go. All righty. So what I'll say to you is that we're seeing it being used now to introduce products. So it's a really great, if you want to get on Vine and you want to introduce a product or do like a product demonstration, it is a great product, a great solution for that. But also secondarily, we're seeing contests. And there's a contest going on right now. If any of you like Chuck Taylors or Converse, I'm a huge Converse wearer because I skate, right? They have this great contest that's see what your Chucks start out the day with and end the day with. And I'm trying to come up with something really cool. But you'll win, you're going to love this, a year's supply of Chuck Taylors from Urban Outfitters. So it's a joint contest between Converse, Chuck Taylor, and Urban Outfitters. So take a look for that across the social media and digital channels. Yes, dear.
Hi, my name is Amy Tokic. I'm from PetGuide.com, and I'm also from Canada.
Brilliant. We like Canadians. They're so nice, aren't they?
Are polite.
They're lovely. I think it's cold up there, and you guys have to keep each other warm all the time.
That's true.
They are. And isn't marijuana legal there? I'm just asking. No? Okay. Well, they're just so happy. Okay.
About the pin on, I have a WordPress site, and the pin is on the stories. Now, if somebody else, and I get my images from other sources, and I always credit them at the bottom.
Good girl.
Now, if somebody else pins one of my photos, and they don't do the little credit in the
little box, the comments box,
will that come back to bite me in the ass?
No, it won't, because it happens to the pinner. But read the terms and conditions. And feel comfortable with saying this. You know, I've been very bold about somebody repinning an image that is of myself or maybe something I took on Instagram, and I saw them repinning it, and I go right back to their board and say, thank you so much for repinning that. Bang, bang.
How do you find that how do you find people that have pinned your stuff?
So when you use the technologies, that I aforementioned, and you allow them to attach themselves to your pin boards, right, to your Pinterest presence, you'll actually be able to see who's pinning what and where.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Okay. Just speak a little closer to it, Dawn.
Okay. I'm Paige Hodges. I'm from Los Angeles. My website is Feline Yogi. I sell cat toys, a yoga mat for cats.
Oh, that's cute.
So, yeah, it's
cats
cute.
Who do yoga.
Cats who do yoga. They basically just sit and rest, but it's fun.
I want to watch that.
And it's a nice little toy.
Do you have that on video? I'd like to see that.
I do have a video. I do,
Good.
yeah. And I have a Pinterest board. I guess my question is more of a strategic way to organize boards. I want to sell mats, but I don't want to just people come to my board or my Facebook page and it's always, buy, buy, buy. So I have other boards on my Pinterest, like Grumpy Cat, which seems to get the most repinning. Yeah. And then sometimes I wonder, am I straying too far with things that are off topic? So I just want to generally how to organize boards. I've got like Grumpy Cat, Cat Fashion,
So that's a content strategy conversation that I want to have with you after, because I would not have the time to answer it fully before the next.
Okay.
So yes, let's find me after, will you? Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, my name is Emmy Scamahorn, and my blog is Emmy Sits, as in I'm a pet sitter. .blogspot.com.
Good for you, Emmy. We all need pet sitters. I have a few men I'd like to throw in your direction.
Okay. I'm an overnight pet sitter in the Washington, D.C. area.
That about works it out right. I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay. This is a technical thing. I would like to be able to move my boards around, and I'd like to be able to move my pins within boards, and I can't figure out how to do that.
That's very difficult to do at this time, and I also get the question as well as, oh, I want my pins to show up on my branded page. Right now, there is no interaction, there's no integration between a branded Facebook page and Pinterest. And I think part of that is really Facebook's fault, and I hate to call them out on it, but I've got to be honest here. Right now, you can actually post your Pinterest photos directly to your own personal Facebook page. But to your point, some of these technologies will help with that, but quite honestly, it's a next iteration, if you will, of what's happening with Pinterest. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
I guess what I'm saying is be patient. They say it's a virtue.
So there's probably nothing where you can, for example, save a board and shift it to the bottom?
No, not to my knowledge. No,
okay.
not yet.
All right. Thank you so much.
Just be patient. I'm sorry, darling. I wish I could.
You
want to call Ben Silberman and give him really just a load of shite for you? I will.
Well, it's just my Pinterest page looks static.
Yeah.
So when I put up a new board, you have to scroll down to see it. Doesn't make sense.
You can move boards around.
I can move boards?
Yeah.
That's what I want to do.
Just drag and drop. Drag and drop. Sorry, I didn't understand your question. Drag and drop it to the top or wherever you want it. And the other thing, too, that I will tell you is if you add new pictures on your blogs, and I should have mentioned this earlier in best practices, mention that you've got pictures and you'll link directly to that Pinterest board. And here's some of the pictures that are related to this article and da-da-da-da,
Okay.
right?
Okay, I'll ask everyone in the room who knew how to do that when I didn't.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Thank you.
My name is Jillian Bevacqua. I work with the Morris Animal Inn. It's a pet lodging facility in New Jersey. And I blog for them. We also have Instagram and Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter, all over the place. I guess my question is a little bit, since a lot of what we'll be marketing in terms of maybe putting prices on things would be events, so they'd be local. Do you have any suggestions for Pinterest, since it's so widespread, for targeting an audience that might be a little more local and in a specific location?
Well, my recommendation would be, again, because you are local and you also have, obviously, probably on Google search or SEO or what have you, in the comments section, you're allowed to put your web presence, maybe the link to that blog post that you've written and so on and so forth. That will give you a little bit more of that localization that you're looking for. You know, because unfortunately the algorithmic equation on Pinterest works very differently than SEO or Facebook's, what is it called, their search, EdgeRank, right? So whatever you can do to mention the name of your company and the web presence is very helpful.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm Janice Garza, and my cat's blog is sparklecat.com.
Sparklecat.
Yeah, and she has her own Pinterest page. I mean, I have
Oh,
a separate
brilliant.
Pinterest page for myself,
Yeah.
and which I hardly ever go to because I'm too busy pinning stuff of hers.
Yeah.
And we do. Yeah. Well, yes, of course. Who has a cat that isn't a cat slave?
Exactly.
Hello. I have Reachly, but I've noticed a problem with it is that you can't put URLs in the description box.
Mm-hmm.
And but what if you have a photo that you're using from another source, like,
You have to, I'm telling you something, this is a best practice that I really want to drill into your minds today. It's very important. So I know Reachly doesn't do that. I would definitely make the extra time and take the time to put that inside the comments box, because what will wind up happening is if somebody from Getty Images or the original photographer for that piece, maybe you got it from People Magazine.
Yeah,
they'll come
that
after you.
totally makes sense, because I was trying to figure out a workaround to that, because
There's no workaround
I've
right
actually
now.
stopped. Yeah, well, the workaround is to use to put the URL in the comments.
Yeah.
Because it's just like it's really bothered me. I've almost stopped using Reachly because of that, and just using the regular pin.
Right. And I would recommend
pin
look
it.
at some of those other technologies if you can, Janice.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Jody. I'm the writer at Cole's Notes. We do homemade dog treat recipes, crafts, and share things from my really smart alecky dog.
Good.
My question is, I'm really terrible for getting a few glasses of Chardonnay in and pinning for like hours at a time. How bad of a practice is that?
Okay, that sounds like a two-part question. Is it the wine drinking that you need help with?
No. The
'Cause
wine
there is a
drinking's
group called
fine,
AA.
but how bad is it that I'm pinning like just a ton of stuff all in?
Is it relevant to your audiences?
Absolutely. Well,
Okay,
most-
after about half a bottle of wine, honey, is it relevant to your audiences? Because if I go to your
I don't know, is
Pinterest
it?
boards and I see nothing but pictures of Ryan Gosling without a shirt on, I'm going to come after
There's
you.
two of Ryan Gosling, but he's holding a dog in both of them. Totally legit.
All I'm going to say is sit down. I rest my case. Next.
Hi, I'm Sean Simons. I'm from Kitty Bungalow Charm School for Wayward Cats.
Okay, I'm sorry. Back up. No, come back to the thing. You are who? You said that too quickly.
I'm Sean Simons. I'm from Kitty Bungalow Charm School for Wayward Cats.
Charm School for Wayward Cats?
Yes, we are a Los
Honey,
Angeles
what can you do with men? Let's talk later.
I've done it.
Okay.
We are a Los Angeles-based street cat rescue. I feel like I'm in algebra class. I mean, I'm like, I don't know when to Pinterest and why I need to Instagram. We started a Pinterest board specifically for our adopters.
Sure.
Sending out to them, hey, you want to have 1 million pictures of your cat? Great, we want you to have them here. Here's the place to do it.
Which is wonderful because you're showing your community, your audience, that adoption actually works.
But you have to invite them.
That's right.
To each thing. And so I wonder, is this more applicable to Instagram? Like, I don't understand the difference between Instagram and Pinterest.
Okay, so Instagram is a social visual communication tool that's both on Droid as well, not on BlackBerry yet, but on Droid and on Apple phones, Apple iOS, to take pictures and use filters and then post them, right? That's a picture, right? Creates a picture. But it's also a community. Don't get that wrong. Pinterest, okay, is the opportunity to create a board or category to organize those pictures, right? So my recommendation to you is, do you have a newsletter that goes out?
We do, yes. Brilliant.
So here's a great, I'm going to give you this one for free. Here's a wonderful digital strategy. When you're sending that email newsletter out, maybe pick the top picture, Instagram picture, and then create a board around that. Say, this month, you know, our pet owner, Susie Q over here, who's adopted 14 cats, has, and she lives in West Hollywood. She was probably my neighbor recently. Anyway, long and short of it is, because I live in LA part of the time, you know, here she's taking the pictures, and we have a whole board dedicated to her adopting these beautiful cats, right? So the more you can engage across channels in the right way.
Sorry, it's algebra to me at this point.
Yeah.
So we're saying Suzy Q has this great picture, and then it links to the Pinterest board, and so that they can look at the Pinterest board, but they're not invited to pin on it.
It's posted on the Pinterest board. You want to have control of it for right now. And then eventually you might want to add collaborators to it. But again, like the young lady earlier, I'm more than welcome to happy to talk to you later.
Okay.
You know, because what you need is a content strategy. And by the way, I love the Princess Leia. I love that. That's so hot. I love that. It's gorgeous. I was Princess Leia once for Halloween. I'm a nerd. I love Princess Leia. She's awesome. Yes, dear.
Hi, my name is Julia. I have a blog called Canines and Couture.
Canines and Couture.
Yes.
Wow. Tell me about that.
So my question is, what are your thoughts on putting, so I post a lot of content from my blog. I have an Instagram plugin, and the...
Good girl.
Yeah,
A+ for you.
when I type in my website, all those Instagram photos that are feeding comes up, and I pin those.
Yeah.
I also pin my content, but what are your thoughts on, in the description, like when I do my hashtags, also adding my blog URL? Is that tacky, or is it, and redundant, or is it useful?
Your URL really belongs in the comment section, okay, because the hashtag is what you stand for. So maybe your hashtag is to use, like you said, canines and couture, or I'm sorry, felines and couture, what have you. Keep it really basic. Now, if you're running a contest, you might want to do something special with the Instagram hashtag. But for right now, if you really want to drive people to your foundation, which, by the way, your foundation is your blog. Okay, let me make very, very clear. Your website, your blog, that's the foundation. What I'm providing you today is just another pipe. That's what this is. Okay, don't tomorrow go, oh my God, I gotta get on Pinterest, blah, blah, blah. No. This is another pipe for you to actually, expose your content to your audiences if they are there and it's appropriate to add this to your marketing mix. Your blog is really where you need to be spending all of your time. So getting back to this, I would put, if you've got a blog article that's, let's say in some way, shape, or form marries itself to or is indicative of that specific board, then I'll by all means put that in the comment section so people, if they like the image, can click on it and learn and read more about you and what you're doing.
Okay, so it doesn't look weird to comment on my own pin.
Yeah, there's a weird comment.
No, I'm saying, it's not weird, like it's
No,
not
at all.
tacky to
Not
comment
at all.
on your own
No, just say,
pin.
this pin isn't, has to do with this blog post, read more, I encourage you to share it, come over and comment or what have you. Again,
Okay.
You're starting a conversation.
Got it.
You want your customers to engage with you, your audiences to engage with you, and you're entertaining them by the visual communication. Does that make sense?
Yep, thank you.
Brilliant. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt your texting, but you're my last question, so you better hurry up, bub.
Okay. All right. So my question is really not about Pinterest. It's about...
It's not? Well, then sit down. She's behind you. She's got a question about Pinterest.
Well, I was going to ask you if that social media fancy...
Social media fantasy?
No, fancy.
What did you say? You didn't even give us your name. What's your name in your blog?
I don't have a blog. My name's Andre Ponte. I'm with Dog Fashion.
Dog Fashion. The mind reels.
Have you heard of the fancy?
I've heard of the fancy, yes.
Okay.
I read it. It's online. It's cute stuff.
Are you sure that's what I'm talking about?
Well, I don't know. I'm just going to wait over here and text until you tell me you're ready. How about that? I'm joking with you, darling.
No, I'm just saying the fancy. It's like kind of like social media, and you have the opportunity to buy as well.
Yes, I know. I like the fancy. It's great. I read it.
I just want to know if it's worth even getting involved with it. If I already have Pinterest, I have Facebook, I have Twitter.
Is it a way for you to make money?
Yeah,
Do you think it might be a revenue stream? Then why not test and learn from it?
Okay.
Try it out. Of course, that question has nothing to do with Pinterest, which means you failed this course, but you're cute. So
it's
sit down.
okay. I already graduated college.
Okay, good girl. So sit down and let the adults play now.
My question is about Pinterest.
Good girl. What's your name, Jim?
My name is Vicki Boatwright. I go
Hi, Vicki
by
Boatwright.
BZTAD. I'm an artist, and BZTAD is my artist name. And my blog website is BZTAD Studios. I also have a blog, justmeowin.com, which is my cat's blog. My question is, and it kind of follows up on something you just said, of I have boards that are my creations, my artwork, and then I have boards of things that I'm interested in, so I'm not just putting my stuff out there. What I find is that I get a lot of my artwork pins repinned or liked, but it's not driving a lot of traffic to my website.
Right. What's the purpose of your website?
To sell my artwork, basically,
okay,
and
brilliant.
to share information about my artwork.
And your Pinterest board, is it just your artwork, or is it also stuff you do with the cats? Separate the two. That would be my recommendation. Well, separate the two and have something that's branded just for your artwork that goes directly back to your web presence or blog where you're trying to sell artwork. And the other thing that you might consider doing is, as you're uploading images, put a price tag, not on all of them, but on some of them. Yeah?
Okay. Well, it is branded around, my brand is pet-themed artwork. So everything that I post on the Pinterest board somehow connects to that. And I don't, I've always read you shouldn't just post your own stuff. You should be looking at other things so people get around, a wide range of who you are.
Right.
So everything it connects, but it's not just my stuff. But so
what you're telling me is that you have inspiration boards as well as your own work.
Right.
So people can see what has inspired you to create this lovely artwork.
Right.
So that is very wise that you're doing that, but I would recommend putting price tags on some of the things, and also write a blog post or two about your artwork and also how you came to create that piece, right?
And that's what I do, and the pictures I pin are from those blog posts. So earlier you said give a little bit more of a description that tells about that.
And here's
post.
another thing too, if it's artwork that people cannot afford, because you'll kind of know what the price point is, have you ever thought about going to Cafe Press or something like that and taking some of your images and putting them on t-shirts and coffee mugs?
I have.
Because if somebody can't afford a $200 painting, but they really love the image and you see them repinning it, and by the way, go after your repinners. Thank them, because they're actually giving you free publicity, right?
Right.
And then say to them, and this is a little sales pitch, but just hear me out, okay? Hey, if you really like this image, I'm creating coffee mugs or t-shirts or little silk screen prints or what have you. You can buy them here, and then put a link on it. Cool?
Okay. Great.
Rock on.
Okay.
I love
Thanks.
artists. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I'm from loveanimals.org. We're a new crowdfunding website for animal nonprofits.
Yeah.
Loveanimals.org. Can you recommend a good book to learn how to use Pinterest?
There are a couple that are out there. There are a couple of ebooks that are out there. If you give me your card and information, I can link you into them, and I can also give you a few. They're mostly ebooks and that kind of thing. But quite honestly, they cover everything that I did in this deck. They talk about best practices and what have you.
Do you think would you recommend just going on to Pinterest and just starting to use it?
No, I would recommend having a content plan.
Okay.
And understanding first, again, your blog is your foundation, the content plan for how you're using all the social media channels. Because Pinterest, I mean, it's going to fit in with you, because if it's about I love, dogs.org or I love pets.org, obviously, there's a place for this. Everybody in here take pictures of their pet? Here's your audience.
Yes.
Yeah?
Okay.
And then don't hesitate, too, if you're starting out with Pinterest, and again, I'll get you a card and we'll chat, that you understand that it's okay to grab images from other people as long as you give them credit.
Okay.
You know?
Thanks.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Step up to the mic. Don't be shy. And we're done. Thank you all. This is how you can find me. Twitter's the best thing, @socialespionage. I answer that every day.